Hey, Travis, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate it.
You bet. So, know you're busy. You're doing a lot of things, a lot of irons in the fire, as most of us are, my listeners as well. Wanted to have you here because you came across my radar at a recent mortgage conference I was attending. Your name was brought up as like one of the go-to legit real deal guys when it comes to what's really working on Facebook specific to real estate. And of course, right, we're in the mortgage space. And so I do the formal intro, as I said, right? Everybody kind of heard the bio and who you are and what you do, but quick summary, why don't you give us your version of what you're all about, your agency and all that?
Certainly. So I'm a Facebook marketing strategist, and over the past several years, we've generated over 75,000 leads from Facebook, all from the real estate industry. We run campaigns internationally, worldwide. So we're on Australia, London, New Zealand, Canada, Mexico, and throughout the US. Our advertising agency is focused on a full funnel type of approach. So we build campaigns with a methodology of top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of funnel kind of campaigns. Really dialing into the psychographic, demographic, online and offline behaviors. So we use big data to really define exactly what the consumers are doing and take them through a unique conversion process based on the actual behaviors that they take online, and then retargeting them throughout the lifetime of the campaign as they are sent texts and emails. With all of that data, we then love to teach. So we turn around and we actually teach people how to, build those same campaigns. What's working right now. So we have a creative copywriter, operation manager, ad managers, graphic design team, funnel engineers, and myself as a strategist. And we're all inside of a Facebook coaching and training program where we walk people exactly through our methodologies, our steps, our processes. Because I'm big on sharing and really being able to educate people so they can do it themselves if they can't hire us.
Okay, very cool. So there's a lot of info in there. And for some of the listeners, they might be saying, what does that all mean? I'm curious, though, in terms of who you serve in the real estate space. Are you dealing with individual agents, more teams or brokerages? What does that look like?
We're pretty much all across the map.
Okay.
We have large companies that we work with, like Fidelity National Title. We work with other large companies that are, well, I can't say all of them, but
No.
just know that there's companies that are big teams. And then we have people that are typically our kind of our most typical client is going to be larger teams.
Okay. Okay.
So we work with ad spend anywhere from a couple thousand a month all the way up to 25 to 35,000 a month and higher per campaign. It just depends on who the client is. We also work with individual agents and work with individual mortgage brokers.
Mm-hmm.
Those are typically inside of our training program, our Facebook coaching and training program. Because sometimes with those, there's not necessarily the resources to build larger campaigns that are built to scale on a national level. They're more of a local ones, which are some of my favorite because we get to see unique, immediate results that are a little bit more tailored to the exact market area. So we're definitely all across the board.
Okay, so thank you for that. So my listeners, loan officers, I want to try and cover a couple of bases in this conversation. One is I see a lot of loan officers trying to, what I will say, trying to take a shortcut route and trying to circumvent the traditional method of growing their purchase referral business in pursuing relationships with realtors. I see loan officers trying to go, the buzzword is consumer direct. And then I see them like kind of chasing the elusive siren of, hey man, Facebook, just run some ads and generate thousands of leads.
Right.
What do you, if any advice or roadblocks, landmines to look out for, traps not to fall in, anything you want to bring to the surface for that, that person?
I would, Facebook is a wonderful place, and is for, for advertisers and for the user experience, but it is a discovery platform.
Mm.
So a lot of these people are coming off of a search engine where they've done some searching, individually, and then they're on Facebook to escape maybe the world, whatever it is. The last thing they want is a direct offer that is too focused on the needs of the loan officer
Mm.
and or the realtor, right? Whatever it might be. So we have to think in a different way, a little outside of the box, on how do we really target these individuals that is based on their behavioral actions offline and
Mm.
online, um, versus just a catch-all where we're just sending a message out
Mm-hmm.
that may not resonate with those exact people. So the consumer direct kind of thing, it's really based more on how do you tailor the message that has value and a strong offer to them, and come more from an educational mindset. And when you give people information that's based on education,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to position yourself as the authority and expert, but you're also going to teach and enlighten them, and
Mm-hmm.
hopefully in that same conversation be able to then give them what are the opportunities. And I started that when I was early on in my career. I got into real estate. I was a real estate agent when I was 19 years old, and I became a qualifying broker. And then I grew a team of my own company, managed over 100 agents. But to get there, my first 3 years were extremely painful. I mean, it was not easy. I was 19. I was in a suit. No one was going to trust me, right? I'm going to trust this kid,
Right.
who hasn't even started shaving yet, with my largest asset.
Right.
And it's not necessarily the best approach for me to just to door knock and say, hey, are you thinking about selling your home? And I did. I door knocked over 2,000 homes.
Wow.
My first 24 months in real estate. Not a single one of them ended up in a direct sale. But I learned everyone's objections. I learned how to actually clear the objections. And I learned what people really wanted to know.
Yeah.
So I learned also, who do I resonate with and what is my target prospect?
Okay.
And I was young.
Yep.
I was hanging out around the university, and I started to notice that parents would tour the university with their kids, right, the students, and they would either rent or buy a home, right? Those are those two options, or live on campus.
Right.
Well, there's about 29,000 students that were enrolled in my local university. And I figured out, well, after talking to a loan officer who was door knocking on some of the last like 500 homes with me, until he was kind of like, dude, there's got to be a better way.
Right. Yeah, please.
Yeah. So he told me about a kiddie condo loan program, and I don't think it's around anymore, right? But in the early 2000s, it was called a kiddie condo loan, where the FHA loan, the parent would co-sign for their kid, right? Utilize and leverage the parent's credit. It was very little down, I think almost 3% or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it would get them into a home really, really easily. All the properties around the university appreciated about anywhere 4 to 5% a year because of the location.
Right.
And I then created a guide based on that. That was a website guide that basically went over. It was how to make those 4 years very, very profitable, was the headline. And I handed out these different pamphlets, and then ran ads in the local university newspaper, and ran some basic Google pay-per-click ads over to that website. Well, the website was just educational material. It was basically, here's the loan program. Here's what the homes appreciate around the university area. If you buy, imagine the equity that you'll have over the next 4 years, and then you can rent the home or sell it, right? Take that equity, pay off the student loans, but your kid is basically going to have this great investment, or you're going to have this great investment, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I started doing that and started getting people. My first client was a girl that was headed to NASA. She was a very bright engineering student, and her parents co-signed for it, got the property. And then I started getting more, and her friends heard about it, and then it kind of just snowballed. I started getting these people that were then interested in then buying more condos. Well, the developer that had all these condos that I kept bringing these people to said, you know what, why don't you become our listing agent? Here's basically $5 million worth of condos for this building. If you can sell it out, we'll pay you more. If you can sell it within the first 5 months. I did. And that led me to win another one, and then another one. And we just kept being able to use the same type of educational material to draw people in. Well, Facebook wasn't around at that time. You know, in 2006 is when Facebook ad platform really came out. But I modeled all of my marketing off of that ever since then, which was based on an educational type of advertising.
Yeah.
So with, you know, with the same type of ad format, right? The persuasion and psychology of being able to draw people in with enlightenment by saying, did you know about this, you know, VA loan, right? Or do you know that you can buy a home with only 0 down, right? Whatever it might be. All those types of opportunities, right? There's hundreds of different types of loan programs. Each one can be packaged into its own ad that is really based on more of the educational process, right? Giving reciprocity. If we think back to the Stone Ages, people in caves, you know, being able to tell a story. What were the key pillars, the psychological pillars that really pushed people through persuasion to get them to take some sort of action? And it's a process of, well, storytelling. And so that can be done through education, social proof, which is, you know, if you have any type of testimonials, if you have any type of, in today's, you know, social proof is a combination of things. It's that Facebook ad was shared 25 times and has, you know, 15 comments on it and over 250 people like it. That's its own type of social proof in a way. So there's different ways to really be able to take all of these core pillars, you know, untapped opportunities that people haven't heard about. And reciprocity is a really big one. Reciprocity of giving them valuable information where they feel like, well, you know, that person gave me this, so I should probably work with them because they are the source, right? They gave me and enlightened me this information as a gift, and then what can I do in return? So that's the methodology that we use in most of our marketing. And most Facebook advertisers, no matter what industry it is, there's always going to be various different types of methods and strategies. But one that works really well across all industries is education and reciprocity.
Yeah, that's a nice setup and kind of a contextual, you know, background to education marketing. And so I'm curious then what you're seeing, if there's certain types of educational offers that work well on Facebook. And so obviously a couple could be like, you know, ebooks, right? The ultimate guide to buying a home, or videos or whatever. But it sounds like what you're saying is on Facebook, don't look for the direct quick hit, look for educating, nurturing, perhaps putting people into a funnel, right? Taking them off Facebook and taking them to your page. Is that right?
Yeah, there's a few different ways to do it. You can focus on audience building. So let's say you run a video that goes over, you know, the top 7 mistakes homeowners make when trying to refinance their home.
Okay.
And that goes into like fear, guilt, greed, right? You know, fear of missing out. All of those are deep emotional pulls.
Right.
That could be a video that you run to a group of homeowners, and you know, anyone that watches, let's say 25 or 50% of that video, you can build a custom audience out of that. And you're not selling them that video, right? You're just giving them information, right? The top, you know, deadly profit killing mistakes homeowners make when, you know, going through this process, whatever it might be.
Okay.
Those that watch 50% of that, then show them a secondary ad that may be a lead generation ad that is focused on some more content that is really showing them basically how to overcome those. And whatever kind of solution you can provide. So you're building an audience and then retargeting them with a very specific ad to get them to take a secondary action. You're going to see a lower cost per lead. You're going to see basically a lead that's been warmed up,
Mm-hmm.
And now it's a warmer audience. They're educated. And so you're building this frequency illusion where you're a little bit showing up everywhere, but it's based on their behavioral action that they've taken at the top of the funnel. Now that's one. Some of the others are focused more on, see if you qualify, right, for this 2 or 3, K loan, whatever it might be, right? This rehab loan that's come up for VAs. See if you qualify, take the quiz, or, take the brief survey,
Mm-hmm.
whatever it might be that they fill out. So getting them to take those actions and then send them through, and then you have an email, let's say, or some sort of lead capture at the very bottom of that questionnaire is that, enter your email to get the results. Right. And that's where then you start to kind of, basically convert them into a lead. There's more simplex ways of doing it, which is, having a list of homes would always be a benefit. If you're working with a realtor, you can kind of piggyback on some of their IDX systems. In that way, you guys are working in tandem in terms of the follow-up process. And you could use their list of homes, their IDX website, and run an ad that might say, see all the properties that qualify for first-time home buyers and special financing programs. Some of these homes even qualify for zero down financing.
Interesting. So obviously then you're targeting the first-time home buyer niche.
Exactly, right. Then you're, and really that's what most of the successful campaigns boil down to, is you're targeting a very specific niche.
Yep.
Right. So if we're doing VA loans, then that's really focused on, veterans. If we're focused on first-time home buyer homes that qualify for almost zero down, or what it might be, or special grants, then right, you're speaking directly to first-time home buyers. There's lots of data that we use to boil down who that targeted audience is, but you're going to see that's going to resonate a lot more than a broad audience with a very broad message.
Yeah, good stuff there. So a couple of questions then on that. In terms of focusing on a niche audience, like you and I talked about before we hit record, is of course Facebook is changing some of the targeting interests to try and appear more, public friendly. I'm curious, any comments you would have about the impact of that specific to real estate. I'm sure you know what they are off the top of your head. I forget, right? Is it income targeting? Is it thinking about buying a house? What are some of the others?
Certainly, it's some of the major ones. So they're removing 1,500 different interests.
Wow.
So partner categories is being removed, which is third-party data from Axiom, Experian, DataLogic, some of those larger companies that aggregate tons of data offline from pretty much everywhere.
Yeah.
Facebook has its own first-party data, which is very precious and probably the most valuable data in any type of advertising platform.
Right.
But the third-party data sometimes was kind of hit or miss. And sometimes it was used really well, and sometimes it wasn't. But the key ones that affect real estate that they're removing are homeowners, renters, income, likely to move, and there's recent mortgage borrowers and recent home borrowers or buyers. And there's a few that kind of cascade off of that. Now, with that being removed, it presents, I think, a really large opportunity. And you're going to see that there's a lot of mortgage brokers and real estate agents that are, well, just using some of those, right? Their targeting strategy was pretty simple.
Sure. Well, it was easy,
It was easy. Yeah, right. And the targeting strategy was really simple, hit those few things. Now, the issue that most are going to experience is that that's being removed on October 6th. So in October, all of those are being for leads, higher cost per click. The results are definitely altered because they're removing them systematically, right? From Europe down to Canada and then the US. Now, what we've been doing is suggesting that people use first-party data. And I'll get into that in just a little bit. But the opportunity here is that most people are going to be frustrated that they can't use some of those targeting, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to have people that are going to complain and they're going to give up and their campaigns are going to struggle. Now, your opportunity is that if you really know how to do Facebook marketing well and you know different targeting strategies, you're going to be able to really dominate that space, because you're going to have some people that are going to leave the advertising platform altogether and throw up their hands because they say, it got way too complicated for me. I don't want to even try and want to think about how, right? I'm just going to find a different avenue.
Okay.
Now, what we do is since this was announced in March, and this is one of our gold standards, one of what Facebook considers a gold standard as well, is you take your past client list of homeowners, or if you have a list of homeowners, whatever it might be, whatever customer list that has a common denominator, like homeowners or people that are just buyers, whatever it might be, you upload that list as a custom audience. You take that custom audience inside of your ad manager and you create what's called a lookalike audience. Now, a lookalike audience, so you're just uploading your customer list in a CSV file.
Right.
You have name, email, phone number, city, right, state, zip code. The more data you have on them, the better. Facebook's going to match that and say, we found a 70% match of all the people on your list to profiles and user IDs on Facebook. Now, with that custom audience, create a lookalike audience. And so what Facebook will do is they'll find all the people in the entire United States that match. They're going to analyze and match the data of that list. They're going to find 2,000 different data points, 2,000 different key attributes about these people: life stage, income, homeowners, right? You know, whatever it might be. They shop at Whole Foods. All of those key denominators, they're going to find other people that match those very similar profiles. And then that is your list that you should run campaigns to. Now, that's one strategy out of about 7 that we've deployed that have been really successful for us, not using any third-party data. And lookalike audiences are really successful. They first started with e-commerce, because let's say if you own an e-commerce store and you had a necklace for $300 that you were selling, you sold 1,000 of them in the past year. Well, what's the best way for you to find other people that are most likely going to buy that same necklace in that price range? Well, you take your past list of people that bought, upload it, create a lookalike audience, and run ads to those individuals, because Facebook is going to have that data. They have that data and can predict who are the people that are most likely to purchase, who are the people that are most likely to travel, who are the people that are most likely to move and buy a house or refinance, whatever life stage they're entering into.
Yeah.
It's very, very powerful. So that's one key strategy I would focus on.
Okay, and regarding the lookalike audience, once you've got that data, and Facebook's going to do a nationwide kind of search and aggregation of that, are you then, if a loan officer is only in a local area or a real estate agent, are you then kind of adjusting that for targeting purposes, or how do you kind of narrow that to where you can actually serve?
Exactly. Yeah, we do what you call kind of geolocation narrowing, right? So you would upload that custom audience inside of your ad campaign at the ad set level when you're creating a campaign, and then you would simply just type in the zip codes that you want to target, or the exact city that you want to target, or if you have a neighborhood, you just type in the actual property address, right, and do it in a 5-mile radius or 25-mile radius around that property address. And then Facebook's just simply going to take that lookalike audience and narrow it down specifically just to the geolocation area that you are wanting to target.
Okay. Wow. That's good, man. Thank you for the free education and how to navigate the new world of Facebook there.
Yeah.
That is awesome. Another question on that, though, is what do you see? What do you suggest to people in terms of giving Facebook a long enough time for its algorithm to perform its duties, right? Because a lot of people are like, hey, I ran it for a day and nothing.
Yeah, I always love that one. I get people to say, so I have an open house this Saturday, right? And today's Thursday.
Right.
I'm like, oh man, come on. It's not gonna, yeah. Your standard rule of thumb is you want to give the Facebook algorithm 3 days or 72 hours to have the ad start to really optimize and go through the Facebook algorithm to find, one, the low-hanging fruit that it can basically trigger the algorithm to say, find individuals that are going to take this specific action. But it really goes through what's called a learning phase. So the first 3 days, it's really going through a learning phase, trying to find the best prospects in the audience that you've created to understand, okay, what have you trained us to do? How do you want us to perform? And those first 3 days, you're going to lose money. It's not really kind of in the books that you're going to have some. Sorry?
Yeah, be prepared. You're going to lose money.
Yeah, be prepared. I mean, really, sit on your hands or handcuff yourself or straight jacket, whatever it is, for 3 days. Don't touch the ad campaign. Don't touch the ad copy, the targeting. If you make any changes within those first 3 days, then it's a start and stop, right? It starts over the algorithm and it becomes a Frankenstein type of campaign, and it loses its data, loses its steam, and it's just not going to perform. Now, we look at the algorithm in most campaigns, really the algorithm stabilizes on these campaigns at 8,000 impressions. So 8,000 impressions on that ad set, on that campaign, that's where it stabilizes. And then you can scale it or start to make any changes based on the data, right, that you want to look for. You look for key point indicators of the data, if it's going up or down. And that's a big part of Facebook campaigns, right, is being able to read the data, understanding what to do next. Do you leave it alone? Do you change the ad creative? Do you switch it to a manual bid, right, and get more? But yeah, the first 3 days, let it be. It's not gonna kill you. Hopefully you're spending a healthy amount of budget. And budget has to. Well, the budget is a big part of it too.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people may be underbidding, and so they might see in the first 5 to 7 days no performance, or no real kind of action, and then you got to go back and really look at, well, why is that? We have an audience of 700,000 people, but we're bidding $5 a day. Well, you're not going to make a dent in that audience with only 700,000 people and $5 a day. Facebook is a blind auction, right? It's an auction and bidding platform. So when you go into that auction, right, when you say, I'm going to spend X amount a day, you're going into this auction and you're competing with maybe 50 or 250 other advertisers going after the same audience or an overlap of it. And the situation that takes place there then is Facebook is looking for who is bidding the highest that says we value this audience the most, and this is what we're going to bid to reach those individuals. And then from there, the Facebook algorithm says, all right, we'll feed that ad campaign out, but the user base has to also speak and tell us, is this the right ad that we should continue to serve to most of the individuals? So what they're looking for is the best consumer experience. And they have their own total value. They give each ad campaign, each ad, a certain weighted value. And the equation basically goes like this. It's called BEAR. And that's what the Facebook algorithm is known as. Think of a big, mean, grizzly bear. So bidding, expected action, and relevancy. So what are you bidding, right, to reach that audience? Then the expected action. The expected action kind of ties into what is the optimization or the objective of the campaign. If it's a Facebook lead ad, right, if you chose lead generation, then what we're doing is the algorithm is saying, let's find people that are going to become leads and fill out this form. So we're going to find the most likely prospects that are going to actually click on this ad, fill it out, or give their information, and then go over to the destination URL, wherever you want to send them. If it's traffic, right, same kind of thing. Who is mostly going to click on this ad and then wait for a landing page or a website to load, or Messenger, right? All those kind of things. That's called OCPM, optimized cost per 1,000-mile impressions, versus CPM. OCPM really taps into the algorithm. So, if you're using brand awareness or reach, that is just CPM, cost per 1,000 impressions. It's basically just like billboards. It's not anything with a direct kind of call to action that's going to tap into the algorithm. But what you're looking for is, that's something you just kind of can't control. The expected action is basically left up to Facebook and their data of prospects. The relevancy part is how relevant is the ad image and the ad copy to that audience. And what Facebook is looking for is the optimal consumer experience, where they say, you know what, that ad is relevant to me, and I'm going to engage with it. Now, how Facebook determines that is through a high click-through rate, and people are sharing and commenting on it and liking it. So shares, comments, and likes in that order is what's prioritized within the Facebook algorithm. People clicking on the ad and actually going through and taking the actual steps, right, that the ad is optimized for, that is feeding back into the algorithm, right, called pixel fires. And those pixels are sending the information back and saying, we've had 25 people take a specific action in the past 7 days on this exact ad. So therefore, the user base has spoken, they enjoy it, and we're going to serve it up to more people based on the ad spend. Now, if people go up and they click on the right-hand corner of that ad and say, hide this ad from me, which, all of us do at some point. We've seen an ad too many times, or there's an ad that has a picture of baby boomers drinking cocktails in Florida, but it's being run to some millennials, right? Some 23-year-old that says, I don't want to see that. That's not for me. They hide that ad. That creates what's called a negative feedback score. That negative feedback score goes and tells your ad account, hey, people don't like this, right? We got a negative feedback. You have a negative feedback score and a positive feedback score. Positive is based on the click-through rate and interactions of people going through it. Negative feedback is one simple action, people hiding the ad.
Yeah.
So what does that do? Negative feedback score limits your reach. So your relevant score, which is how relevant your ad is from a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being it's hyper relevant, it's really great, 1 being it's not. The higher the relevance score, the lower cost per click, the lower cost per lead. There's a direct correlation there. So that goes down, the reach goes down, the impressions go down, your cost per lead goes up, your click-through rates start to take a dive, and the campaign has the slow, kind of tragic death. So simple kind of formula. Just make sure that your targeting is on point, your ad copy and ad creative is speaking directly to the targeted audience, and that you're bidding effectively in the audience. So an effective bid, a standard rule of thumb, is $10 a day per 100,000 people in that audience. That's what Facebook really kind of looks for. So I'll bid sometimes a little higher on the ad auction, depending on the data that I've received on past campaigns. So I might say, you know what, there's 300,000 people in this audience, so I'm going to bid a little bit higher. I'm going to bid $50 or $60 a day at first to really blow everybody out of the water, and then let some leads come in, and then I might start to dial it down back to something more appropriate, like $25 dollars a day, and then just kind of let it balance out. Everyone's bidding strategy is a little bit different, but just kind of start off, a standard rule of thumb is $10 a day per 100,000 people.
Yeah, that's good, man. Very, very good. Holy crap. I'm taking a ton of notes. And there's so many directions we could go. But one of the questions that popped up for me, because I had talked to a loan officer who was looking at running some Facebook ads with another firm out there. And basically, and I don't know if you can answer this question or not, but I'll try it. Basically, it was coming back to him that if he was doing the math on the acquisition per, let's say, closed loan, right? That was going to cost him, I think, $500 or more for each one of those. And so right. I'm trying to figure out, how do you decide, right, how much is appropriate or enough per transaction? And I know it varies based on the size, but we're talking real estate and mortgage. So any thoughts there?
Yeah, I mean, it really depends. I think for the mortgage industry, the CPA, right, the cost per acquisition,
yeah,
is sub $500, right, is a deal, right? So $200 would be the target range, I think, for most, from our experience that we've seen. Sometimes you're going to get a home run and get one that might be only a $25 or $50 cost per acquisition, right? Not cost per lead, but cost per acquisition. And factoring that for those that are listening is really kind of going, well, what am I paying in ad spend? And then what am I paying for Facebook ad management, right? If you're hiring a management team, right, a team of experts to do this for you. But if you don't have a team of experts that you're paying to do it for you, then it's just your ad spend and then whatever other dedicated resources, right, to try and convert that prospect. But with that, yeah, we've seen that with mortgage leads, you're typically hovering in between, that 150 to 450 range cost per acquisition.
And just to clarify, by acquisition, do we mean a closed loan? Closed
Right,
transaction.
exactly. Yeah,
Okay.
closed loan. Someone that actually converted.
Okay.
And right, the money is in the bank now, right? So yeah, that's you're going to see on average those fluctuate in between.
Is it higher for real estate because they're making more on a sale of a house, right? They're going to make more than a loan officer is going to. So I'm wondering if the CPA is.
Yeah. You're right. There's going to be depending on how everyone's charging and internal fees and everything like that. But really, it's more of has to do with the profit margin, and it's not like what Facebook is really kind of saying. Oh, these people make more money on it, so they.
No, I know that. Right, I'm just thinking, right, when you think about, I'm sure you get this all the time from the real estate. Well, how much is it going to cost me per, sale, right? I mean, that's what they want to know.
Right. And it definitely ranges across the board. So with real estate agents, we're seeing, average cost per lead. Sometimes it's $2, sometimes it's, $17, right? It just depends on what kind of person we're going after. So sellers, are notoriously more expensive. So seller leads for us are much higher as a cost per lead because, well, they're a homeowner, and homeowners are attached to so many different types of services. So they're being targeted by
a lot of noise. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Insurance companies. All these different types of, because when you buy a home, really it gives thousands of people opportunity.
Oh, yeah. They're like on the list, man.
Yeah. So if you're a homeowner, then your value as a prospect is going to be extremely high to hundreds of different companies versus if you're a renter.
Right.
Or if you're, a homeowner, but you're targeted maybe in a different way, which gets to be a little bit more advanced and sophisticated. But it's all about then the what is the intent? And we have to go back then to what is the offer. Now, a cost per lead for a buyer to see a list of homes is going to be maybe around $4 or $6. That's a much lower cost per lead than a homeowner because we have leverage. Home buyers want to see homes, right? What's available under a certain price range. Homeowners, it's still sometimes a bit of a mystery to exactly what they specifically want at that point in time with their life stage. They're a bit more elusive. They're like that leopard snowcat that you only see once a year up on the mountain range. You got to know exactly where to be at the right moment with the right tools to actually see it from 5 miles away. Yeah. So those type of campaigns are effective, but they can cost more if the targeting and then the ad copy and what we call the hook, right? What is the incentive? If the incentive is irresistible enough, then your click-through rate's going to be low, and then then let's say you're spending $10 a day, and you're only getting maybe one lead, every 3 or 5 days. Well, then that's going to be a $40 to $60 lead. And then the time to convert that prospect into an actual sale, then it could be easily a $300 or $400 cost per acquisition. So it's also about what is the intent, what is the actual hook, and it needs to be something that is focused on value and a benefit to them.
Yeah, so it's intent, it's hook, it's value, it's benefit, and then of course the relevancy that we talked about before, where you have to have that offer that's relevant, and the ad copy has to be relevant, the image has to be relevant, all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of moving parts there.
Yes.
Couple more quick questions that just kind of popped in my head as we're talking here. Do you have any suggestions, best practice on keeping people on Facebook versus sending them off, right? Off to like a landing page or whatever.
Yeah, so, Facebook does have some slight penalties inside the ad platform.
Mm-hmm.
Not penalties that are going to, get you shut down or negatively affect you, but penalties to where your ad may not be shown to the right prospects, or your reach, is limited. So it might be not shown to the same amount of people that you would desire it to be shown to. If you're taking people offline to a website. Now, there's about 27 different factors that play into that, but just the key main ones are, is the website mobilely optimized? Is it designed for mobile? Because about 90% of our campaigns, our leads, everything is mobile.
Yeah.
That's where they're all generated. So if you're taking someone to a website that's not designed for mobile, then it's going to be a bad user experience. And then Facebook does not want to affect the user experience in a negative way, right?
Mm-hmm.
on their platform. They want to keep people there as long as possible.
Right.
So that's one part of it. Does the website have a privacy policy on it? If it doesn't have a privacy policy on it, then Facebook is going to penalize that, and that's going to affect your campaign.
And just real quick, so Facebook's going to look at this with their intelligence that they have. They're going to know what that destination page is, and okay, cool. Keep going.
Yeah, basically they're going to read through almost like Google spiders.
Yeah. Right.
You're going to read through, look for certain keywords to try and find your privacy policy.
Okay.
So if you don't have that installed, it's going to affect it. Does the page take longer than 3 seconds to load? That's also going to affect the campaign, right? So Facebook, is building more and more tools inside of the ad platform to where sometimes you almost don't even need to send people off until the very last moment. So, and that experience can be done with Facebook Canvas ads, which are basically mini mobile websites, and you can design those in the ad platform. Canvas ads are really a cool type of tool because it takes up the entire screen. It's mobile immersive. It basically takes up the entire phone, so you don't see any ads or anyone else but your brand, whatever it might be.
Cool.
Average time spent on those is typically about 35 to 40 seconds inside the Canvas ad.
Can you put a video on those?
Yeah, definitely. I would put a video. I would put any kind of material there, and whatever the goal might be, right? If it's to build an audience, have a video so you can really suck them in. If it's to solicit some sort of offer, you want to be clear and concise of exactly what that is in the video. But what's cool about Canvas ads is the people that open them up, you can build a custom audience and retarget anybody that interacted with that Canvas ad. Websites and landing pages still work really well.
Okay.
And they're never going away.
Okay.
It's more of just the experience that you want to make sure that the continuity from your ad to the website is very, very close and clean and similar.
Like branding, imaging, coloring, all that kind of stuff. It's got to be consistent. Continuity, like you said.
Right.
All right. Very cool, man. This has been a lot of good stuff. I'm just watching the time here. I want to close it out with just a couple of thoughts, and then, for those that might be interested in connecting more with you and learning from you. But to lead to that question, to that next step, it's funny when I hear all this and I'm looking at the damn 2 pages of notes that I have and everything, and I'm like, man, this is some complex stuff, and you got to know what you're doing. I'm curious what your thought would be on, we got the loan officers listening who, may want to try and go at this at their own. And running an ad, like, here's the offer X, whatever it is, right? That free relevant thing. First question that comes to my mind, number one is, do you think that's like doable? Should people kind of test the waters out? What do you think?
Yes. I think that, in today's world of technology and innovation, people fall into 2 camps. Those that want someone to do it for them because they're just too busy and they want,
and they have the budget. Yeah.
Right, and they have the budget. And then those that like to learn and they're a little bit more tactile with their experience and they want to be able to, essentially learn to fish and
Mm.
be able to do it on their own again and again.
Mm-hmm.
So, I fall into the camp of wanting to learn because I have always
Of
been a
course you are. You figured this all out on your own.
well, it is so. Yes, I think that people should. I would encourage them to definitely experiment and try.
Okay.
I think also it serves a few different things. One, they'll have a deeper respect for the ad platform and understand the complexities, right, and how advanced it truly is. The scale of what is available and what you can do, but also it's one of those where if you know how to do it and you can get in there and be able to actually create a campaign and have success with it, there's some great empowerment behind that.
Yeah.
And there's this real skill set that is valuable that if you can know how to do it and do it yourself, go for it, man. I mean, really be able to do it. If you don't want to, and you say, you know what, I'm running a bigger team and an organization that it's not worth my time to learn it, then you're much better off than hiring the experts that do know how versus stumbling around and trying to figure it out. And, the cost could be a little bit heavier if you don't know.
I think that's great advice. A great suggestion. Thank you for that. I guess last question is what maybe, 1 to 3 questions that those listening, if they're considering an agency and outsourcing this, that they should ask to make sure the agency actually knows what they're doing,
That's a great question. Well, even when you call in or if anyone's ever talked to the actual Facebook marketing team that Facebook has, I love Facebook. I've been to the headquarters, I've met with their core real estate team and actually I'm on their advisory board. But there's the marketers that they have, to if you call in, they say, talk to an advanced expert marketer. And some of those people don't even really necessarily know the full depths of the platform. So don't fault some of the agency people that you talk to if they can't answer these questions. But I would really focus on, what is your methodology? Because Facebook has its own methodology of priming and reminding, which is basically what we've adopted.
What was that again? Say it again.
Priming and reminding.
Okay.
So priming is basically having a top of funnel, top of advertisement, right? Whatever it might be, and then retargeting people based on their activity on that, right? Okay. So everyone has a different way of how they do it, but have them explain the algorithm in their best way. Can you explain how the algorithm operates to me so I can understand it?
Okay.
And what that looks like.
Okay.
And from there, I would really kind of focus on their successes. Yeah. How many leads have you generated? Not necessarily how many clients they have, because everyone's starting out in different ways, right?
Sure. This is all new. Yeah.
Right. So, I would really ask them what's been successful for them,
what are the campaigns that are producing the best results, things like that.
Right. And some people are going to be, kind of
protective of that. Yeah.
Right. With their ad copy, but I would really kind of ask more about the targeting and, what do you find is the best method that is working for you now? And then how are you handling the removal of those audiences that are, or the targeting that's being removed away? You'll get some interesting answers, and then you really kind of start to see where are they in the scope of, as far as being an advanced marketer, or are they a beginner or intermediate, in what they like to really focus on in terms of their methodology. So
okay.
It's right for you.
That's good stuff, man. Great. Thank you very much. This is a crash course. And believe me, I've interviewed a number of people on Facebook, and this is the most notes I've ever taken. So,
oh, good.
Hopefully that conveys a lot. Really, it was awesome. All right, so that leads me to great. For those that are listening, are like, hey, you know what? I want to hire Travis and his team? I want to learn more. How do I get educated? You know, any places you want to send our listeners to connect with you?
Certainly, yeah. If any of you are interested in learning how to run Facebook ad campaigns, from the very basics 101 all the way up to the advanced, or if you just want a team to do it for you, my website is travisthom.com. That's Travis. Last name is spelled Thom, Thom. So travisthom.com, and go under services, and you can see pretty much everything that we offer there. There's also a blog on that website for some free training, and we've got a lot of great material there. Free training that you guys, I would suggest starting there, get your feet wet, start to understand how everything works, try it on your own, and just test, right? Get out there and see what's possible.
Yeah. And then, of course, follow you on Facebook, and I'll put links to all this in the show notes, because you do put out some nice content on your Facebook page as well.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, you bet, man. So, no, I appreciate you. You're very busy. I know a lot going on, and thank you for coming here today and sharing your time and expertise with us.
Hey, Geoff, thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate it, and hope everyone gained some value or golden nuggets out of today.
Definitely did, man. So I'm sure you're going to be getting some inquiries. So listeners, thank you for tuning in. As always, we appreciate you. If you like today's episode, leave us a little thumbs up, little positive review on the, wherever you're listening, iTunes, Stitcher, wherever on the blog. Thanks again. And we'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.